a national divorce. Okay, what does that mean? Well, think of secession, okay, but just having two different halves of the country. Okay, I don't know how it would get figured out, but I think it's probably the best way to get out of this current quagmire that only seems to be dividing and getting deeper every single fucking day at some different level. More causes, more problems seem to be added on top of all of this stuff, and it's not really solving itself, mostly because the biggest campaign going on right now, make sure you get the jab, otherwise we're just going to treat you like the out group. And that's not going to be going away anytime soon, okay? They're just going to keep on shifting the goalposts on that. They've already fixed the wheels, and don't worry, that motherfucker has miles and miles to go still, so a lot of people are just deciding that, hey, you know what, maybe it's just time that we both go our separate ways. Like, everybody's been in a really shitty relationship before. It's like, we only stay together because of the kids, and guess what, the kids are starting to grow up a little bit now, and there's no love here whatsoever, and Florida hasn't been over to see California, and it doesn't really much matter what the Dakotas are doing, because the Dakotas are weird anyways, and then the Carolinas are off just fucking around, so who fucking knows what's even going on in the States anymore, right? Well, we got the pros, we got the cons, and then we got what the people actually feel on this one, okay? So, according to Red State, a national divorce ain't happening, and they mean business, because they said ain't in the headline, right? The United States has become quite divided over the past decade. It's been a lot longer than that, but I guess it's kind of come to a peak in the past couple years, sure, ever since Orange Man cometh. Political discourse has become increasingly tense, and yeah, no, it actually hasn't. Let's be honest, it's just been censored into fucking oblivion, and if you even talk nicely about anything that the Orange Man has done, you will be fired, you will be censored, and you will be pilloried, and you will be thrown out of society. So, yeah, no discourse there. Amid mostly unfounded fears of a second civil war, yeah, I don't know, and you don't want it to get hot, because both sides really misunderstand the situation. Literally, you should just be trying to work towards figuring out some kind of a land agreement, I would think. The people on both sides have called for a national divorce, a peaceful solution to the ever-rising tension between the Americans on both the left and the right. A national divorce would involve splitting the United States into two nations. I just don't know how you do that, just taking a look at the map. It would just, there's no clear boundaries. Like, there's a little bit of a funnel, but you've got to hop over some other states, and it's like, historically, they've been kind of back and forth between, see, it's very, very weird and very, very not technical, and you can't get people to move from one side or another, like have everybody on the right over on the out east, and then you'd have everybody left out west. It's like, how would you go about doing this? It's just logistically very difficult. It's a very, very high probability chance that this ain't gonna happen, like Red State says, but is it a good idea overall? I'm kind of warming up to it. Anyways, people on both sides have called for a national divorce and peaceful solution to ever-rising tensions between the Americans, and on both the left and the right. A national divorce would involve splitting America into two nations, one that is more conservative and one that is more liberal. I'll refer to these two nations as the Democratic states, the DSA and the RSA, sure. In this way, those positing the idea seek to have a situation in which people can live among and commune with only those whose political and cultural beliefs line up on their own. No. Ones who appreciate the American values, and the other ones, they can go ahead and they can experiment with a bunch of failed ideologies over there. That's fine. Okay. It's just those who want to return to traditional values and those who want to fuck around with Marxism. Okay, cool. You want to go do that? Here's your playpen. Okay, have an entire room to yourself and just fucking destroy it at will. Okay, we're just going to go over here and we're going to do what we want, and you guys can just leave us alone. Okay, cool. So you're not exactly framing it correctly. Since conservatives and leftists no longer wish to live among each other, conservatives kind of just don't care, but leftists are physically repulsed by the sight of conservatives at every single turn. And I get it. There are some people out there that just want to own the libtards whenever they're given the opportunity. But for the most part, if you live in a city, if you live anywhere, if you work anywhere, you're going to have that one liberal friend, okay? And you should, and conservatives, you've seen the poll numbers. the studies are out there. They're very, very unlikely to get rid of a friend based on political ideology or political affiliation, as opposed to their liberal counterparts who will literally disassociate from family members if they just admitted that, yeah, you know what, I kind of voted for Trump because some of the shit that he was saying seems about right, or I just couldn't stomach voting for somebody who kills at will in Hillary Clinton. You've seen the stories, okay? You don't see it the other way around. I voted for Hillary Clinton and I was kicked out of my fucking house. It's like, it doesn't happen, okay? Or my unfuckable wife wouldn't fuck me. So it's like, oh, thank God we don't have to do that fucking rigmarole and pretend like, oh, I'm still attracted to you, even though you're pushing 300 pounds. It's like, we don't have to do that for a month. Oh, thank God, okay? I wish there were more elections I could vote in. The solution seems to have some appeal, especially among libertarians and anarchists who would love to see the federal government dissolve. That is correct, but the issue with this idea is that it's highly unlikely and it could never, ever really happen in real life. That's because you guys are fine. You subscribe to the ideology that it's better to side with the devil you know than the devil you don't. So you're just pussies. You're fucking cowards, okay? You know what doesn't work. We're seeing what doesn't fucking work, okay? Why don't we just try it on a micro level? How about that? For starters, the logistics would be impossible. Okay, today's America is not like the nations of the 1860s, where the North and the South were at odds. Political differences aren't as geographical as they once were 150 years ago, and there are plenty of leftists living in red states like Texas, and plenty of conservatives living in blue. No, there aren't. Is this an old article? Is this like really, really old? Oh, okay, cool. It's like within a couple of weeks. All right, cool. Indeed, over 5 million Californians are registered Republicans in a state of, what, 30 million? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sizable, a whole bunch. And by the way, isn't Arnold still a registered Republican in California? I rest my case. It doesn't seem realistic to expect each of these individuals to be able to pick up and move to Texas or Mississippi. If given enough time, you could go ahead and figure this stuff out. Conversely, there are millions of Democrats living in Texas to their detriment, and you could just go ahead and fucking carpet bomb Austin. That's fine. How would a national divorce work for people with conflicting views living in the same areas? You pick a side, and you don't fuck with the rules once you figure out where you're going to be living. How about that? Would Democratic-leaning individuals be forced to move to the DSA or vice versa? You just don't fuck around with the values, and you stop trying to undermine shit. How about that? If you want to experiment with ideas, get out, go, move, go, get it, beat it. Piece with the New York Post, author Carol Markowitz, I'm going to listen to some broad on political issues, pointed out that COVID restrictions and other policy differences are not only things dividing the nation. No shit, some of us don't have the memories of goldfish and can remember 2019 and prior. And she noted that the electorates change, issues of importance change, and demographics change. And the left continues to go further left, and conservatives are just kind of standing in the middle going, what the fuck happened? That's enough. Okay, time for a national divorce by the Mises Institute, okay, one of the leading voices in the libertarian movement, and not like crazy stripped down and be on stage libertarian movement, like based takes on everything libertarian movement, okay? And this is from January, okay? So they've been talking about this shit for a while, and it's finally just washed up on mainstream basically because of what we'll get to eventually. Both spouses have become abusive verbally and physically. Oh my God. Exchanging blows left and right, both literally and metaphorically speaking. My money's on the man. There's no common ground to be found, and even if there were at this point, neither side is interested in entertaining it. And yet a narrative continues to be pushed by politicians on both sides. Unity. Boy, this was written in January now, wasn't it? Biden seems to preach it every single day. We're going to get unified, whether you deplorables like it or not. Yeah, exactly. Is my interpretation of his speeches. No, if you remember his inauguration speech, since we're back, I think this was written like, what, the fucking day before? Yes, it was, in fact. Yeah, where he would go on and say, like, half the country, you guys are insurrectionists and evil and bad. And as our present time, the kind of unity does Biden plan to force upon those who don't vote for him? Well, everyone feels unified in his attempt to forcefully remove guns from millions of responsible citizens. Yep, they're still trying that, by the way. That certainly doesn't sound like unity. No. This rhetoric is a farce, and that'll be eloquently, or not so much since it's coming from Biden. You guys are great. Stated now, but forgotten later on. They come up with some points here. individual state secession. See, this is how you overcome the geographic concerns where nothing really lines up and everybody's kind of all over the map. There are the deeply held political beliefs that have led some states to be Republican for a generation, or multiple generations, sorry. Same with Democrat states like New York and shit. Like, does anybody think that California is going to be flipping any fucking time soon? Do you remember the recall vote that was about a month ago? Okay, remember how fucking catastrophic of a failure that was? Pepperidge Farm remembers. So this is how they get around it. Individual state secession. This is that option that seems to be talked about most in the perceived the most when hearing about political separation. And there's actually been some recent talk about secession in the state of Texas, as well as within California. Yes, the Greater Idaho Project, what would that be? Parts of Oregon, Washington, and Northern California joining up with Idaho, and then that, I think, you know what, that crazy bitch who's acting as Lieutenant Governor up in Idaho, I forget her name, yeah, she's probably already signing executive orders to annex all that land, because she's fucking nuts. Generally speaking, it is a simple concept. A state secedes from the Union and becomes its own nation. Again, that's very, very interesting. But if we just return to states' rights, and that would be better. But that's just not going to be coming, especially in today's current political climate and the dependencies a lot of states have on one another. Other states may also then secede and form their own nations as well, or join with another. The retort to this notion is always a reference to the Civil War. However, this isn't an honest argument. No state, red or blue state, in our present day would entertain the idea of seceding from the Union in order to enslave a particular race. It is a stupid fucking argument. Totally agree. Regionalism. This is different from secession because it doesn't always have to entail individual states. Instead, a county is broken up into a different region, and each section is governed more with a focus on political culture than of that particular region. Similar to the idea of secession, and the obvious example comes to mind is the North-South split, but I actually don't think that's how modern-day regionalists, it looks like religion, a split would take place. It wouldn't be a clean line. There'd be more regions than just two. For example, parts of the Midwest would have more in common with the South than that of the Northwest. The boundaries wouldn't be nearly as bad as some of the gerrymandered counties you see. Just take a look at the different districts in New York and around Los Angeles and how they're all just able to be fit on a postage stamp. But they also wouldn't be straight vertical or horizontal lines either. Exactly. Or how about radical decentralization? Yup, fuck the Fed. Okay, Articles of Confederation style. Yeah, buddy. In this sort of system, the United States still exists geographically as it does now. I know there's very little you can do about it until the geyser in Yellowstone just decides to fucking blow off. Or the big one hits California and then it just geographically becomes different and everybody's better off because California is out in the ocean. But anyways, I digress. However, the federal government is much weaker and has no ability to tax. Oh, that sounds like a fucking heaven. Where do we sign up? Each individual state is left to govern itself as it sees fit. It is quite clear that the U.S. is too big to be governed by a centralized force. Yes, and in this sort of scenario, state and local politics become much more important than federal elections. This sounds awesome. The president becomes less important, and same goes for the U.S. Congress and for the Supreme Court in the system. California can attempt to become its own socialist utopia, while Texas attempts to model what they believe will be a completely free society. Why not try that? That sounds fun. Don't get me wrong, though, none of these are an easy way out. This is no easy way out, because there is no easy way out, exactly. But there are all forms of a solution that, put simply, separation. And the simple yet difficult types of solutions are typically the most effective kinds. So why not try putting all options on the table? Why not say with words that up till now have been hush-hush? So no reason to keep it quiet any longer. Let's start the conversation now. And it looks like a lot of people are picking up on said conversation. You know why? Because America thinks the unthinkable. Dun, dun, dun. This is from, not but a couple of days ago, about a week ago. More than half of Trump voters, just say Republicans, stupid, and 41% to Biden supporters All right, so more than half and 41% Biden supporters, okay, about the same as his approval rating, want red and blue states to secede from one another to form new countries. 52% of Trump voters and 40% of both parties favor abolishing the checks and balances built into the federal government because must states' rights. Am I right, guys? Many breathed a sigh of relief when President Biden was elected. The Biden family? I don't know, maybe. Not for policy, but for reunification of the country after 4 years of very, very organic and very, very not just the media trying to kick up dirt in order to create smoke that most people would interpret as some sort of an underlying fire, but whatever. Because of Trump, just wait for the fucking reckoning in 2024. I can't wait for you cunts to spurg out. But 8 months into the new presidency, America's deep disunity might not be letting up. Yeah, because Joe Biden's been such a great unifier, right? All my years in political, shut up. A new poll has revealed that political divisions run so deep in the United States that over half of Trump voters, Republicans, want red states to secede from the Union, and 41% of Democrats want blue states to split off, according to analysis of the University of Virginia's Center for Politics. 52%. We got it already. 52%. Okay, but whoa, actually, if you take a look at the poll numbers themselves, okay, agree that they should secede from the Union, 52%, and then another 25% are like, that's a really good fucking idea, 77%, okay, and then you take a look at Biden voters, 59%, okay, does it seem so far-fetched now? Then you take a look at another question on said poll. Other party is a danger to democracy. Republicans, 84% agree and 57% strongly agree. 80% believe that of Democrats believe that Republicans are the problem, and 51% really believe it. Cool. Why should we be trying to reconcile? Even if I was a even if I was a Democrat or a Republican, okay, if you hate somebody that much, why are you trying to make it work? I don't get it. Like, yeah, it's really tough to figure out how this would work because, okay, you got the middle of the country that would be all kind of landlocked, and then you have Georgia, which is a blue state, sure, and then okay, so cool, you'd have a little bit of the eastern seaboard, this sort of, kind of, but then what would you do with the rest of, say, Illinois? Because Illinois is just like Chicago and Champaign, and then outside of that. And then you got like Arizona, which is currently going through the border crisis. So do you really think that if everything's all on the up and up, do you think that they're regretting their choice, that they would be back there? Because classically, Arizona's very Republican. And of course, they did vote for Clinton in, what was that, 96? They're fucking weird state, okay? What can you say? So how would all of this stuff work? It's very, very, very complicated. And then, of course, you have the numbers themselves. So the red states, as it is right now, if we'd go back and take a look at something that might be a little bit more accurate from 2016, the numbers would change. But this is based on how everything lined up in 2020. So population is roughly the same, give or take, about 49 million people, sure. GDP, a little bit higher because you got California and you have New York there, but okay, fine. Median house income, $59,000 for people in the red states, $71,000 for blue states, but then that's offset by the living wage, or price of living, cost of living in those states as well. Area, so you have far more area in the in the red states, whatever that would be called, the Republican states of America, the RSA, sure, fine. But land doesn't vote, that doesn't mean anything. Okay, and yeah, when you break down the demographics, really not a whole lot of difference. Okay, so it'd be 63% white, but then 57.62% in blue states. Oh, okay, cool. Black, 14% as opposed to 11. Okay. Hispanic, 16.66. Nice. And then only because you're getting that Arizona bump. And 19, so 20% Hispanic. Why do you think Biden played Despacito at his fucking campaign rally where, 3 people showed up to the bingo hall? Asians, yeah, far more Asians, so I guess Andrew Yang would be over there. and then just have a higher unemployment rate in blue states, and you just be slightly more educated with a university degree, but we be the educated states up here. All of you plebs just want this national divorce. Well, it kind of looks like a lot of people want this fucking divorce. So, I don't know. I'm starting to warm up to the idea because I don't see these divides getting resolved anytime soon. And in fact, the galvanization, maybe if Biden just continues to crater during his presidency, everybody will be like, oh, fuck, I guess I do like mean tweets over just incoherent old man on his fucking soundstage. Maybe they'll figure something out. I don't really know, but just know that this is on the table. There's sort of a plan already kind of figured out, and we know the blue states, we know the red states, we know where things are going. So I just don't know if this were to ever be enacted, if it would just be done amicably or not. I don't think it would be, and we don't really need to go down that path because, oh yes, all of those gun grabbers and reds, oh yeah, they have all of the power and they have all of the ammunition. They can take care of all that stuff. But who are at the levers of power, by the way? We've seen the betrayal of General Mark Miley, in his white rage. All of the people in the military, though, they're just going to line up and do exactly what they're fucking told to do. So don't be cheering on that Civil War because you think that, oh yeah, I have my gun collection. Yeah, well, guess what? There's one of you against the fucking military. So I don't know, but the Taliban did a pretty good job of fighting them off. So who knows? All of this shit is up in the air. I think it's worth a look. I think this idea is worth a look because things are fucking goofy, to say the least. With that said, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.